Welcome to DVC Alumni, where every story inspires the next. The official podcast of the Diablo Valley College Alumni Association. As we celebrate 75 years of DVC's impact on education, careers, and community, we're honored to share the incredible journeys of alumni who've transformed their time on our vibrant campus into meaningful careers, community contributions, and personal success. Each Tuesday, we spotlight DVC alumni, from first-generation graduates to entrepreneurs, educators, and leaders who share the triumphs, challenges, and pivotal moments that shaped their lives. And on Thursdays, it's Resource Thursday. We dive into the programs, departments, and services that make DVC the supportive, dynamic community it is, exploring how they serve students and how you can connect with them. Whether you're a current student, recent graduate, or longtime alum, join us as we honor DVC's legacy and discover how our past continues to inspire the future. Thank you for being part of this journey. Be sure to tune in, subscribe, and celebrate with us. DVC Alumni, where every story inspires the next. And now, join our host, Alumni Manager, Charlie Daly.
And we are live, and I'm actually really excited about this particular version because of this podcast this is DVC Alumni, where every story inspires the next. And that's because today we have a mother and son, and we'll start off with the son. And you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, thank you for having us. And my name is Kevin Tuholsky. I'm a young professional, and kind of my story, my background. I grew up here in the Bay Area, and I went to Salle High School prior to DVC. And kind of my background, I played both football and rugby. That path led me to get recruited by UC Berkeley, and that path ultimately led me here to DVC. And this,
Okay.
the best choice I ever could have made. I think DVC did a lot for me, and I learned a lot about how to study, but also kind of how to be a better person and a lot of stuff overall. And I did a year and a half at DVC.
Cool.
Transferred to UC Berkeley. I played rugby there, so DVC kind of helped me bridge that gap. I graduated in December of 2021.
Oh, that was just a minute ago.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Yep.
Well, let's get your mom introduced too, because this is going to be fun.
I'm the mom, and my name is Margaret Tuholski. When I went here, I was Margaret Orr, and I went to Carondelet High School, graduated in 1986. I was here at DVC from 86 to 88. I transferred to UC Santa Barbara. And after, I was a sociology major down there. And then I went to get my teaching credential at Cal State Hayward, which is now Cal State East Bay.
Yeah.
All the names change. And I'm a public school teacher. I have been in the classroom since 1994 about.
Okay.
And now I'm a PE teacher in
Yes.
the Walnut Creek School District.
Cool. So let's get back to your. Well, actually, let's talk a little bit about what brought you to DVC, because I think there's an extra connection here that we talked about before we started. But let's talk about that, because I thought that's very exciting.
Yes. Okay. Well, I grew up in Walnut Creek, and my family has been in the East Bay for many years. And my mom went to DVC. She went off to nursing school, didn't really care for that. She went to Academically High School, and she went back to school, and she wanted to be a teacher. And so she came here and graduated with her AA in 1955. So all the way, I was born in 1968. Every time we drove by Sun Valley Mall, every time we came by, she would tell the stories of going to DVC. When I was in high school, unfortunately, my mom had breast cancer when I was a senior, and I wasn't ready to go away due to health issues for her. And also, it wasn't really a choice. My mom said, "You're going to DVC." So I did not apply anywhere. I just was going to DVC, and I was A-okay with that. And when I was here, my father got cancer as well. So the 2 years that I was here, my mom survived and lived for many more years, but my father did pass away when I was 19, and I was here of cancer as well.
Okay. So in the exciting part, and we're going to scan this and try to get this into the notes, is we have here the commencement that Eleanor, which is actually, that was my mom's cousin's name. They were absolutely adored each other. That's why I'm looking at that and I'm going, okay, I know that name. But Eleanor, your mom, was in the 5th annual commencement. And see, this year we're actually celebrating our 75th anniversary here at DVC, which is very exciting as we have, things from that original time period. So that's really, really cool. And for her, and it does say East Contra Costa Junior College, which was what it was originally called, which is again, one of those super awesome. So she went and she decided that's where you were going, regardless of what else was going on.
That's right. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And so you came and talk a little bit about your journey. I mean, you told a little bit about that.
Yeah. Well, I went to Catholic schools my whole life.
Okay.
So when I came to DVC, it was the public school. And I had worn uniforms for 12 years straight.
Uh-huh.
So my first adjustment was being able to have free dress.
Okay.
And so my mom would laugh at me. I'd be in the hallway in the mirror and saying, what am I going to wear to DVC?
You had never had that piece of anxiety, had you?
No. And so I totally remember that. And I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, but having with my mom being a teacher, she was really urging me to be a teacher. And so she went on to Chico State and became a teacher and worked here in the Mount Diablo School District. And so I had a lot of fun. I actually worked at an ice cream parlor in Walnut Creek called Lippert's.
Yep.
And
I remember it.
The Lippert's kids were from all over, College Park and Northgate and Los Lomas. And a lot of them came to DVC. So when I came, I felt like I had lots of friends here.
Yeah.
And a lot of kids the girls from Carondelet did not come here. There was a small number. But I felt very comfortable being here, knowing that, of course, my mom had gone here and that I knew I was going to transfer. So in my mind, I wasn't sure exactly where I was going to go, but I did take that time when I was here at DVC to go visit all my friends at college.
Oh.
And so, one time I'd go up to Chico, then I'd go to Pepperdine. Then I had a good friend in Santa Barbara, and I went down with a couple of kids actually from DVC. And I loved it. And I said, that's where I'm going to go. And back then, people only applied to 1 or 2 colleges, unlike now, people are applying to several. And it was all paper written, and you had to submit an essay, and you typed it. And so I was a student here when there was no computers, and everything was typed up. And so that's like a huge difference of where I feel really old from that.
Well, I went here a little before that, so it's like I hear you, and I remember.
Yeah.
It's just when I remember I took a job once because I wanted to learn computers, and it was a sign making job, but it forced me to learn computers because I figured that was the direction everything was going. So what was your best memory what was your moment at DVC?
I have lots of funny memories. Well, one is when I had to register. It was $50 to come here, and you could take as many classes. And when I was looking through the book, it was a catalog. It said staff on it. And so I was like, oh, okay. And I wasn't really sure what that meant. And so I thought, well, Mr. Staff teaches a lot of classes.
Okay.
So I was totally not into the college groove because I had really no guidance, seeing my parents were ill at the time.
Right.
But oh gosh, I had a lot of fun. I took the speech class here, and I took an evening class. So I loved coming to school with people who were older than me because I thought I got a big kick out of that. And so we would go out afterwards. I also took the oceanography lab in the evening, and we had a lot of good times going off to the Martinez Marina to collect samples. We went on a boat in Pittsburgh called the RV Crago, and that was like an all day, like trolling, getting specimens. We go out to the round table. Well, I took another class called Successfully Slim, which is a very odd class to take. And it was in the afternoon. So my friend Annie and I would actually go over here to the Kmart. There was the Kmart and get patty melts and then go to the Successfully Slim class. So it kind of defeated its purpose.
What was the Successfully Slim class?
It was a nutritionist. It's a nutrition class. And I had been in something called TOPS, Take Off Pounds Successfully.
Okay.
And so my friend and her mom and her aunt and I took this nutrition class in the afternoon.
So you'd go get a patty melt before you went to the nutrition class.
That's correct.
Well, that sounds like what I would do, but yes.
And then I worked at Red Robin too in the mall.
Yes.
And Red Robin was brand new, and the mall was happening back then.
Yeah.
And I worked, and most of the kids that were here really did take morning classes. There wasn't a lot of afternoon action around here at all, and everyone would go off to work.
Right.
And whether it was restaurant work, hotel work. So I worked at Red Robin as I was here, and Lippert's too as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And then you eventually went on to UC Santa Barbara.
Yes.
And you got in teaching.
In fact, I have a very interesting story about that because I was going to a little room, which I just passed when I was coming up here. And back then, of course, we had no computers. So if you pointed out a school, so I'd say, I want to go to Santa Barbara, they would take down the Santa Barbara book and it would tell you the requirements you needed. So I met a couple times. I applied and I didn't get in. And so I'm like, oh no. So I went with a bunch of friends I met in the mythology class, and they had gotten in.
Okay.
And they said, well, we're going to go down. So I made an appointment to talk to the admissions lady down there. And I was missing, I didn't get in. I wanted to know why I didn't get in because my grades were good enough. And I had talked to the counselor. And this lady said, well, you're deficient in one math class. And I said, okay, can I take it this summer? And she goes, well, I know that you want to be a teacher, so I'm going to waive that for you, and I'll just see you in the fall of '88. So I came out of UCSB and I said to everyone, you won't believe it. And I called my mom on the payphone because we had no cell phones.
Yeah.
And she was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you're in. So when I went down there, I just kept pinching myself. I was like, I'm here. I'm so excited to be here. And I appreciated every minute down there as well.
I think one of the lessons there, and yes, it was back in the olden days like me when wheels were square and nobody had a computer, but probably one of the most important things is to make that connection and go in there in person and go knock on a door, and that's really what matters is that you had the nerve to go do that. And I think that's an important thing rather than, oh, I didn't make it in. Oh man. So,
yes.
Okay. So let's talk to Kevin for a few minutes here because he hasn't, we've kind of shut him down for a moment. So Kevin, you're now third generation going to DVC. So talk a little bit about you went through apparently all Catholic school growing up.
I didn't. Yeah.
Oh, you didn't?
No,
Okay.
yeah, I went
Okay.
to public school, elementary school, middle school. I went to De La Salle.
Yeah.
Similar scenario because my dad went to De La Salle. My mom went to Carondelet.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'd been to public school before. I didn't have that issue.
And Kevin went to my school because I brought my children with me
okay.
to Indian Valley and Walnut Creek. Yeah.
Okay. Well, and I went to YV, Ignacio Valley, which was right around the corner. And this is back, this is back before De La Salle was the football, the program that it was. And it was just, we were fighting it out, I think, with Pittsburgh for the best football school around here. But so you went to elementary school and a regular school, and then you ended up going to De La Salle. What was that experience like?
I really enjoyed it. I think I learned a lot about what it meant to kind of be a contributing member of a team and be a part of a greater group, I guess, because we have a lot of different, I guess, values, you'd say. And I kind of learned that at a young age where I feel like people, even now at Berkeley or even at work, they start to feel that, but I got to experience that at 13 as opposed to 25, 26. So yeah.
Well, especially if you played under, played in the program that Bob Ladouceur created over there at De La Salle. It's like, you talk about squared away. That is really, and I mean, people look at the winning record, and I look more at the values that he instilled in his group. That was the thing that was actually, because he didn't think of himself as a football coach. He thinks of himself as a religious teacher. And so I mean, that must have been a great experience. So
yeah, definitely. I think something that kind of stands out for me, we had these things called commitment cards.
Yeah.
So I would write down what I was going to do at practice, what I was going to do in strength and conditioning and in the game. And you'd have to stand up and review your card in front of everybody. So I think,
I have trouble getting to the gym, so I'm not going to go to the commitment card. So you went from there, and then you went to UC Berkeley.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So what was that experience? You got there. Tell me about that.
Yeah, I think DVC really prepared me well for that.
So you came here first then?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
came to DVC first. So
okay.
I graduated De La Salle 2017. I came here for a year and a half. I studied economics. But yeah, Berkeley was a great experience. I think something that was super cool for me is Professor Fogley and Professor Shee. They went to the Haas School of Business.
Oh.
So the teachers here I had they could have taught at Haas too.
Yep.
So I feel like I got a great preparation to kind of launch pad into those types of courses. And I think I did a lot of similar exercises here that I did when I was taking these Haas classes.
Right.
So I think those classes prepared me, but they also kind of helped steer me in the direction of what I do now, which is finance.
Okay.
And the DVC football team coach was after Kevin. He was trying to find Kevin on campus.
This is back when we had Coach Dar, who was a legendary coach.
Yes.
DVC. Yeah.
Yes. Well, we have our upcoming DVC barbecue.
Yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully you'll both make it, and anybody else that's an alum. So yeah.
It's actually pretty great because there are a couple of De La Salle coaches now that are on the staff here, which is really exciting because I'm pretty close to one of them, Devin Nones.
Okay.
And Coach Nate Kenny too.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Well, and that's one of the things that I love about DVC is it creates that kind of lifelong experience, that connection. So you've gone on to finance, and thank you very much for connecting with the Alpha Beta Gamma Club.
Yeah.
They loved it, so it's just like, I didn't realize it already occurred, and I am sad now that I missed it. And you obviously are promoting your kids to all go to DVC if they can.
Yes. Well, I have a daughter that just graduated high school. And now in high school, there's a lot of pressure to go somewhere.
Yeah.
And definitely in the high school she was going to was not really geared towards going to DVC. Mm-hmm. And now kids are getting into such financial, issues, and it just really is bothersome. So you did have a liaison that went over to Carondelet, and Molly instantly connected with her, and that made her feel much better. So she's working through it, right,
Good.
Kevin?
Mm-hmm.
She's working through it. So far, she's liking it a lot, and she's in an oceanography class. So of course, she has to hear my story of when I was in oceanography class.
Yeah.
But she's heading off to do some work over at Redwood City this weekend.
Okay.
And so she's still not really sure what she wants to do. And so I think that's going to really help her try to figure out. And like me, she's visiting friends. She was down in Loyola Marymount last weekend.
Good school.
And there's just so many good choices. So we'll see what she does, but she'll be here at least a year and a half.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that I think DVC really does great is if they're not going to be a doctor or engineer, there's no reason why they shouldn't basically explore the world, and go look at what things are, change their major twice, do all that stuff. And DVC is a better place to do that because, one, it doesn't cost you $1 million. And two, you get, like you were saying, Kevin, is that, you get the same quality of education as you do, and that's a story I hear a lot of.
Yeah.
So what in your family has that meant to have now 3 generations? Well, yeah, 3 generations going to DVC. Does that like?
Well, I wish my mom was still here. She passed away in 2007. I really wish she was here to see Kevin and how successful that he has been. And I know Molly will be successful as well. She was always proud that I went here. And I had some family members as well that were able to transfer and go, and lots of friends. So it means a lot. It used to be called junior college. So if you hear me say junior college, but it's community college. And when I'm traveling or anywhere and I pass by a sign that says community college, it just warms my heart because I know you're doing really good work here and very supportive and guiding many students on their path to success. So that's pretty much what I think about, my experience here. It was just a really great time when I couldn't go away because my parents were ill. Also, like I said, I didn't really have a choice either as much, but I don't regret it at all. It was a great path, and I have many friends that have had successful paths coming from DVC.
Oh, cool. So Kevin, you talk a little bit. What was like some of the experiences you had here at DVC that you really stand out? Because you talked about you played football here.
I never actually played a game, but I trained with them. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you got yelled at by the football coaches.
Yes. It's actually really cool too because there's Coach Ed Hall was here, and he was one of the original De La Salle coaches. Yeah. So it was pretty cool to be in and around him too. But yeah, I think the football aspect was definitely cool because I think I'd seen and been around a lot of these players, played against them, and there were some really excellent players. Like one of them had a offer to LSU. Oh my! So I think it was cool to train and be around some really, really good athletes as well. And you might think, oh, community college, they weren't at that caliber, and that's not the case. There were some elite players and elite athletes for sure. So I think that's definitely one piece. And I really enjoyed getting to know a lot of other people from all over the county and beyond that. And I think being in and around a lot of different types of people was cool with a bunch of different interests. Like in all my math classes, there's one person in particular that I would study a lot with and talk to. And I think it was kind of cool to go through the process with him, walk a similar path. And even though he wanted to be a doctor, I think he was super smart, and it was cool just being around very, very smart people as well.
Yeah. So did he go on to be a doctor?
Well, he's still working through.
Well,
it, yes.
That's right. That's right. Okay. So you ended up at Berkeley. Did you go to Haas Business School or?
I did not.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's a pretty tall hill to climb. So
yeah.
So
and Kevin was there during COVID as well.
Oh well, yeah, that's
a challenge.
That set everything on fire. I mean, it's just everything. I think that's going to be our. Well, none of us are actually old enough to remember, but our "Where were you when JFK was shot?" type of moment. It's just like, that moment, or actually more like kind of like our dividing line on 2001. It's just like here's one half and here's the other. And COVID was really an experiment we'd never been through. And so it really had an effect on everything. I mean, you were teaching classes, I'm sure that.
On Zoom, yes.
Yeah, which is a weird way to do PE, but you figured it out, I'm sure.
I was in the classroom at that point.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
okay.
Yeah. So it was a lot. And then Kevin's rugby team at Cal actually didn't play for a while, right? Did you still practice?
Yeah. So we had a game scheduled on a weeknight on a Wednesday, and which is pretty rare for us. We normally play just on the weekends, kind of like a football schedule. Yeah. And we were all set to play on the Tuesday before. They said, we're still on. So everybody be ready to play, practiced. We got an email, everybody come meet in the meeting room on Wednesday. And they said, the game's canceled. There's no more practice. Everybody go home.
Go home for 2 weeks. That was the middle of March, probably. Yep.
And everyone thought it was so temporary, but little did we know.
2 weeks turned into the semester, turned into the fall, and then we ended up getting back and going. I guess it would be almost 9 months later in January. But it was a surreal experience.
Yeah, it was. I think for everybody it was. Did you guys practice 6 feet away from each other, or work out together, or just?
We were wearing masks outside for the most part.
Yeah.
So that was a bit bit
Weird.
crazy to think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we know now, but at the time we didn't know.
Totally,
So
yeah.
it's just, yeah.
There was a little risk taking back then. You're like,
Mhm.
I want to not wear this and I want to be
Oh,
able
yeah.
to.
Well, and those of us that wear glasses, it's like, I don't know about you guys, but I got a big old nose that
Fogged up.
that fogs up my glasses. And so it's like, yeah, it was, yeah, that was a whole nother story. But so you went from here, you go to UC Berkeley, you graduate, and now what are you doing?
Yeah, so I worked 5 months, 6 months at a hedge fund in Sausalito. It's called Canal Capital.
Mm-hmm.
So I did that for 5 or 6 months. But I had a buddy that was working at Morgan Stanley, private wealth management, and I grew up with him in Lafayette. So he referred me in, and I've been there now 2.5 years. So
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're digging it.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I love it. And it's been a really great experience for me for sure.
Okay. And again, it's like, I know the business club was super stoked
Yeah.
to get connected with you. And they're a really, really sharp bunch of folks.
Yes, most definitely.
You know?
And then, Kevin, how did you reconnect back to DVC even to do your, like, what was it? Did you want to give back? Like,
Yeah, I think I reached out to Professor Shi because he wrote my my letter of rec.
That's right.
He's now the dean, obviously.
Yes.
So, but yeah, I reached back out to him because I wanted to. I wasn't sure if I could either, speak at a class or whatever, but there was just such a need. So I spoke in the spring of last year. I gave a similar talk on personal finance, and then I also obviously gave this most recent one. But yeah, through Professor Shi, I actually saw him. We have a family friend who's at the school, and I was walking Nathan around, and we just bumped into Professor Shi.
Yeah.
So I was kind of talking to him and said, I'd be really interested in coming back and talking, because I think personal finance is such an interesting thing to talk about, because obviously that's what I do for a living, but everybody needs help with that. And I think I took a class at Haas called Personal Finance, and that's what really kind of cemented that was what I was interested in doing, and I thought I could be pretty good at it too. So yeah, I love talking about it because everybody needs to know about their own personal finances,
Yep.
but then it's also good to learn more about my profession.
Yeah. Well, I think that subject matter, especially folks in college and young folks, is important. The other one, which is one that I'm really passionate about, is how to network. And it's not about, hey, how you doing? It's like that kind of thing. It's like literally when you're going to a mixer or something like that, which pocket do you put your cards in? Where do you put your name tag? How do you follow up? Things like that. So it's definitely something. I think we're going to need to keep you connected to the business clubs.
Yeah.
I mean, because it's not like you don't speak from having been here, So it's just and I remember, I think you did reach out to me. It's like, for the life of me, I can't remember how it was that you got a hold of me, but it was great connecting with you.
Yeah.
And I'm just like super
Miriam,
excited.
I think connected us.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So yeah, I'm. It was Miriam.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's, by the way, one of my most favorite people.
Yeah, she's great. Yeah.
Yeah, she
and then
is.
Kevin came to me and said, "Well, are you in the alumni association?"
Yeah. the
Yes.
association,
So you got to sign up. So.
Yes, and he did say, "Oh my goodness," and I'm like, "Oh yeah, we got to get you both in here." So, what would you say? What would you say to folks? We'll start with Kevin, and then we're going to reach over to you, Margaret.
Okay.
So, Kevin, so like you're talking to somebody who's thinking about, what am I going to do with my future? They're getting ready to, head on to their next level of life or whatever. It's like, what kind of advice would you give them to.
Yeah, I think it would be to figure out where you want to go first and then connect the dots backwards. And I think that's kind of how DVC comes into play, how it did for me, where I think you need to figure out first and foremost what that is that you want to achieve and accomplish. And, for me, that was going to Berkeley. A lot of the students I talk to here, that's an end goal, but it could be something completely different. It could be they want to eventually go to medical school.
Mm-hmm.
But I think knowing where you want to go and kind of having a goal and working towards that a little bit every single day, I think that's number one, figuring out what you want to do.
And then if somebody wants to get together and talk to you about personal finances, how would they get a hold of you?
Yeah, they could reach out to my LinkedIn. It's just Kevin Tuholsky, my name, KevinTuholski. And yeah, I'm always happy to help. And I love talking to people, whether it's in an educational sense or in a more business sense.
Yeah. And this will be I'll put links to this in the bottom of the show notes and so stuff like that. Margaret.
So you want to know advice about
Just in general, what would be, you've done this with a couple of kids, so it's like I know what I tell my kids now is different than I would have told them at the time, but yes.
Yeah. Well, definitely take some time and stop and really think about your future, first of all, because I think especially in senior year, kids get really into all the activities and there's a lot of pressure and there's trendier schools than other schools, but look at all the schools, go visit and also, figure out, do you really want to live in that city, too? Because my other son.
I'm sorry, that's a great advice. I hadn't even thought of that.
Yeah, because my other son went to a school and he didn't really think about that he was going to live there.
Right.
So that's definitely one. And then thinking about your career, I think just best talking to people and just asking them, what do you like about your job? Or asking if you could shadow them and be able to do something that you love, that you feel comfortable with. And trying different things. I think getting out there, and if you're a little uncomfortable, I actually look backwards on my career now and I say, well, what else could I have done? Or what else would I have loved to have done? And as I'm getting ready to retire, I think I'm not done yet. I'm maybe done with education, but I'm not done with what I want to do. And so thinking ahead of what I want to do, especially community service wise or to give back. Because my mom, she worked in Yosemite National Park as a park volunteer. And so that would be something I'd like to do. But also professions have changed since even 30 years ago. And, I know my mom would have loved to have been a ranger, but women weren't rangers back then. And that jobs are constantly changing and new things are being given opportunities to everyone. So keep your eyes open, talk with lots of people. And it's a long career. I'm 32 years into the education and I've enjoyed it. I've loved it. And you want to do something that you love. And if it doesn't work, don't stay and be miserable. Go and do something that you have passion for.
Yeah.
And because there's people that has been in education where I'm like, are you sure you want to be doing this? And so having a lot of passion for what you do, because you got to make it fun. And if you're not having fun, of course, the students aren't having fun. So there's lots to do and many schools to explore.
Cool. Any parting words of wisdom or any last words? Well, Kevin?
Work hard. Work hard and advocate for yourself because no one else is going to advocate for you. But work hard. That's
okay.
For sure my last.
Yeah, and never stop learning. I think that's the main thing is never stop learning because your profession will change over the years as well, or where you go to school. And just even when you're older, just keep learning. I think that's super important.
Yeah, I think I'm on my, I want to say fourth career. And, every one of them lasts about 10 years and then things change and that's okay. But because, I constantly spend time learning, it's just because everything does change. So, okay. Well, with that was, I loved it. It was great. Again, I'm going to make scans of all the wonderful things from your mom and from you. And we'll post them in the show notes. I think it'll be very exciting.
Thank you. Thanks for having us. It is so special to be back here on campus.
Oh, this is very exciting.
All the memories come back and everything. So it's really fun. So thank you.
All right. Well, thank you very much. All right.
Thank you for tuning in to DVC Alumni, where every story inspires the next. The official podcast of the Diablo Valley College Alumni Association, celebrating 75 years of DVC's incredible impact on education, careers, and community. We hope today's episode gave you valuable insights into the journeys of our alumni and the powerful resources available at DVC. Don't forget to join us every Tuesday for inspiring alumni stories and on Resource Thursdays, where we spotlight DVC's departments and services, showing you how they're shaping student success. Until next time, keep pushing boundaries and exploring the connections that make DVC's legacy so special. And remember, DVC Alumni, where every story inspires the next.